Hello students, welcome to the new session. We have completed our exams and we have to move on to a new chapter. So since I haven't sent a video in the YouTube, so I'll be taking a class and it is all about the sentence kinds based on structure. So in the last class, we have studied about the kinds based on meaning. So now here we study about sentence kinds based on structure. So we have spoke about the sentence which uh, sentence kinds based on meaning, and now we have to move on to see about the kinds or sentence kinds based on its structure. So there are different kinds of sentences. For example, simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, and complex compound sentence. We can say compound complex sentence and so on. So we have to know all these sentences in order to transform this sentence from one position to another. Just like we transform um, direct sentence to indirect, or active sentence to passive, and positive sentence to negative sentence, interrogative sentence to positive sentence, and so on. And there is also another kind of transformation which happens in English, that is sentence kinds based on its structure. As I said, simple sentences, complex sentences, compound sentences, and compound complex sentences. So all these sentences can be transformed into another or either of these forms. Like a simple sentence can be transformed into a compound sentence, a compound sentence can be transformed into um, complex sentence, and so on. So before we move on to it, we have to know about sentence. What is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words that make a complete sense. So this is a sentence. A sentence or a group of words which makes a complete sense is called sentences. And these sentences can be divided into different forms. Okay, so when we divide or when we put together these kind of sentences, it becomes a compound or complex sentence. So that is what it means. So now we have to speak about clauses. We have to speak about clauses. So what are clauses? So in the last class we already studied about it. And now we move on to see about independent clause and dependent clause. Independent clause means a sentence or a group of words which have a subject and predicate is called independent sentence, or which gives a meaning of its own is called independent sentence. It does not, or independent clause, it does not need a support of any other sentence. It can stay or it can have a meaning by its own. And there is one another thing, that is dependent clause, or we can say dependent sentence. So these dependent clauses will be able to stay only with the help of independent sentences. So keep in mind these two things. That is, one is independent clause and another one is a dependent clause. So now we move on to the kinds of sentences. The first one is a simple sentence. What are these simple sentences? In an outline, we can say that independent sentences, or a sentence which has or which have a subject and predicate, is called independent sentence. So these kind of sentences will be known as simple sentences, which means one independent clause will be there in a sentence. One independent clause will be there in a sentence. So that will be known as simple sentence. And now we want to see about the complex sentence. So what is complex sentence? So these complex sentences are sentences which have subject, I'm sorry, a independent clause and a dependent clause. There will be one independent clause and a dependent clause in the complex sentence. One independent clause with one or more dependent clauses. Dependent clauses. There will be one independent clause and there will be one or more independent clauses will be there in the complex sentence. So that is known as a complex sentence. Now we move on to see about compound sentence. So what is this compound sentence? Compound sentences are sentences which have two independent clauses, or two or more independent clauses will be there in a independent compound sentence. A compound sentence will have two independent clauses. So that is known as a compound sentence. And now we have the fourth category, that is compound complex sentences. These compound complex sentences will have at least two independent clauses with one or more dependent clauses. Two independent clauses or one or more independent dependent clauses. So that will be known as a compound complex sentences. So usually we don't use such kind of sentences. We mainly deal with the simple compound complex sentences. And now we have to keep in mind some other kind of things, especially when we wanted to recognize these sentences. Simple sentence is very easy to recognize because it will have only one independent sentence or independent clause. But how do we identify a compound or complex sentence? There is an easy way to find out, because in compound sentences will have two independent clauses connected with a coordinating or correlative conjunction. When we studied about conjunction, we talked about three types of conjunctions, that is coordinating, correlating, and subordinating conjunction. So here um, compound sentences will have two independent sentences connected with a, or two independent clauses, we can say like that, two independent clauses connected with a compound or sorry connected with a coordinating or a correlative conjunction. Okay, two independent sentences will be connected with a coordinating or a correlative conjunction. So that is how we identify compound sentence, and enough to see the conjunction which is there. That is the easiest way. So before we move on to it, we got to know what is conjunction. That is coordinating, subordinating, and a correlating conjunction. And now we have a complex sentence. How do we identify a complex sentence? In complex sentence, there will be one independent clause and one or more dependent clause. There will be one independent and one or more dependent clause will be there in a complex sentence. And these sentences will be connected with the, or these clauses will be connected with a subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction will be there in order to connect a complex sentence. And with regard to compound complex, so in compound complex there will be a combination of independent and dependent clauses, and also there will be subordinating and coordinating or correlative conjunction in the compound complex sentences. Okay, I think this much is clear. And in your page number 119, the above one, we can see that a simple sentences. So these contain a single or complete independent clause, as I said, with one finite verb and one subject. One subject. For example, don't talk. Not a single person present here understood his long-winded speeches, long-winded speech. So here, not a single person present there. So there is a subject and understood. So verb, and other thing is a object, whatever it is. So here it is. We can say that there is a independent sentence. It is an independent sentence, and so what happens? simple sentence, and here we have an independent sentence, and so it is called as a simple sentence. And now we have a compound sentence. So here made up of two or more independent sentences, independent clauses that are joined together by means of coordinating conjunction. It is joined with a coordinating conjunction. For example, the guards surveyed the entire area and divided themselves in small groups, but the intruders realized that. So here, all these are simple sentences, or we can say independent clauses, which are connected with a coordinating conjunction and but are coordinating conjunction. And so these independent clauses are connected with a compound coordinating conjunction. So in complex sentence, we have two or more, one independent and two or more dependent clauses. And it will be connected with a subordinating conjunction. For example, she came to me for information because she knew that I was the only person who had taken this course. So here, she came to me for information is an example for a independent clause. And because she knew, that is a adverb clause of reason, that I was the only person, so that is a noun clause and another clause, who had taken this course. It's an adjective clause. So there are one or more or two or more dependent clauses are there along with an independent clause. So what happened? It became it became a complex sentence. It became a complex sentence. And that is all about complex sentence. Now we move on to speak about compound complex sentences. That is, these contain at least two independent clauses and one or more than one dependent clauses. For example, we thought that we would get to see the Qutub Minar when we went to New Delhi for the school trip, but we were wrong. So the sentence above contains four clauses, two independent and two dependent clauses, and it is connected with the but, and so on. And also, but while the dependent clause are introduced by subordinating conjunction. So there is a subordinate conjunction as well as a coordinating conjunction in the sentence. So this is all about the kinds of sentences. And now we have to speak about the changes or transformation which happens in the sentence. As I said, simple sentence can be converted into compound sentence, adding um, a coordinating conjunction and making that simple sentence into two independent clauses. We can make a compound sentence. And also, a complex sentence, if you want to convert a complex sentence to compound sentence, what do we have to do? We have to convert these one independent and one dependent clause into two independent clauses, and we have to connect the sentence with a coordinating conjunction or correlative conjunction. Then it will become a um, compound sentence. So, and if you wanted to convert a compound sentence, complex sentence, what do we do? We have to convert two independent clauses to one independent clause and one dependent clause, and it has to be connected with a coordinating, subordinating conjunction. So that is all about um, this particular chapter.